He was featured on such hits as Shark's Tale, The Hurricane, and a plethora of others, including The Sopranos on HBO. He's an honest-to-God Renaissance man, and despite being a team player, will always steal the show, make you go whoa. He never settles for the status quo. His resume will always grow. He could play a friend or a foe. Was that my last rhyme? Gee, I don't know. Nah, a couple of more as I welcome a humble and incredible talent while opening this virtual door. Let's give it up for the one and only, the charismatic Vincent Pastore.
You're a poet and you don't know it.
No. You are what it's all about, my friend. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Been watching what you've been doing. Really, very entertaining. Very entertaining.
Thank you. Let's start asking you a question here that I think a lot of people would be interested in, because you do have quite the interesting history. Your father, John, was a factory worker, and growing up, there were 3 theaters in your neighborhood, and it gave you and your brother, John, a bevy of films to choose from. But if we fast forward to 1976, is it safe to say that Stallone's performance in the original Rocky really left an impression on you?
Well, I was doing community theater, and I had landed a role in South Pacific, and I went to see Rocky, and I just said, wow, and I lost 40 pounds to do that role that I did at school. I just wanted to change, the way I looked, because I was always like this heavy-set guy, and it was a non-singing role, but it was a co-starring role, so it was a big step for me.
Sure. Safe to say that role, watching him portray Rocky, inspired you.
Yeah, did I know that years later I'd be friends with the guy and his brother Frankie? See, my friend Richie Palmer, who ran Peachtree with me, who bought it from Lewis and changed it to Take 5, went out to L.A., and he opened up a place called Mulberry Street Pizza in L.A. Richie and I are still friends. I go out there and you talk about the Dylans. Everybody hangs out at Richie's place. So it's like, hey, this was back then and this is now. And we're still, we still hang.
I like how you put that, man. I guess delving deeply into that line of work, you ran Crazy Horse.
Yeah.
It had a lot of wooden Indian pictures, the Heineken sign. There was a stage. It started small, but it got bigger. Hall & Oates and a lot of others came through, didn't they?
Yeah. The stage is getting bigger than the bar, and I'm running around with a band now. We just played Daryl's house, and the musicians in my band are guys that played in the club back in 40 years ago.
Well, dead and wrong, I know they are, because I'm gonna be a big star and be in both over Broadway with Nicky. Yeah.
And as a whole, from about 67 to 87, you're in the club business, but you realized, hey man, I'm coming home at 5 in the morning. The last thing you want to be is, God forbid, dead at age 50. So you walk away, you drive a truck. The Dillon brothers, Matt and Kevin, encouraged you to get into acting. Matt Dillon pointed out, hey, the great Frank Vincent, amazing. But if he could do what he does, you could do that as well. Is that kind of how it went about?
Yeah, I mean, you should write my life story.
But how did that make you feel when they were approaching you and saying, hey, we recognize your talent, get into this thing?
Matty and Kevin and Paul, the 3 brothers, used to come into my club. This
Sure.
was another club I was running on North Avenue called Strider's. Like, the phone rang, and it was Stephanie. It was Kevin's girlfriend at the time, and she said, all the guys are coming up after the wake. The grandfather and grandmother passed away. So I said, come up. And when they came up, Bullets Over Broadway. When they came up, I closed the doors, and we put on Public Greenwich Village, and Matty looked across at me at the bar, and he said, you could be doing that stuff. He said, you could be doing that stuff. And he said, Kevin, Vic Ramos can't help him, but maybe Charlie can, his manager, Charlie Massey. So Kevin sent me down to Penn Astor Place, and I had a meeting with this management, and he said to me, Go across the street, go to NYU, start doing stupid.
We'll see you, but you had the right attitude, because after 25 years of being involved in the nightclub business, your storytelling was an escape. And after answering a backstage ad while moving furniture, you booked your first role. Was it in the horror film Black Roses? Was that the film?
I can feel it, Neil.
You should write my autobiography. You got it, brother. Alan, all of a sudden, I got a call from Ellen Lewis.
Right.
She called me upstairs. She said, look, I'm friends with Anthony. I saw you in True Love. I want to get you into Goodfellas. There's me and Sharif. I want to get you into Goodfellas.
Right.
And she had me meet Marty, and I told Marty a story that I was just going over with my actors because I start working on my play tomorrow about an incident that happened in Peachtrees, which is very similar what happened to Tony Darrow's character, Sonny Bamboo. And Marty says, did you know they were there to shake you down? I mean, it was happening. The real world with the wise guy world, it was happening. In the club business, they saw a prominent, successful business, and they would come in, and they wanted a piece of it.
And your hands were tied. Your hands were tied in that situation.
Not me, no, they never got a piece of me.
Good, yeah. Before you landed The Sopranos. And for those that want to know about The Sopranos, it's funny because, you know, Christopher Walken and Georgianne Walken, you know, there's some stories I heard about some of the things that were going on, and I want to see if you can confirm this, because I don't know, you do. But David Chase didn't write season 2 until season 1 ended, right? So he tells you about...
Oh, yeah, no, really, that's true.
He tells you about your story arc, and everyone figures, hey, we're out of here after season 2. But the show keeps going. And it did prove, though, rather advantageous for you, because you booked a ton of work after Sopranos, such as Jon Favreau's Maid, working as a model for P. Diddy. So there was an upside, right?
Yeah, well, the upside was that, and we talk about this on stage a lot when me and Sharif and Michael, we do our Sopranos show, that I was the first to be released because David was making it difficult for anybody who was involved with that series to do anything else. You see that picture right here?
Yeah.
I took that picture like 10 o'clock in the morning. I was up all night. I was working with Danny Aiello all night long the night before. And this was the first year. He cracked down on that going into the second year. He said, you guys can't do nothing else.
Well, you were obligated in terms of contractually.
That's Sopranos. That's all you could do. So when I got killed, all of a sudden the phone started ringing because they wanted Sopranos in their movies and their TV shows. You know, I actually, Frank Renzulli, who wrote the first 2 seasons, called me and he said, "I'm waiting for write for David Kelly now. Well, we just wrote you 3 episodes for the practice." So you know,
it was coming.
I know I didn't stay on forever with the Sopranos, but I did find another road to go down.
I tell my students too that vulnerability is not something people should fear as storytellers, and your role, especially in season 2, you put a person in a precarious situation. You take a character such as yours and put them in this situation, and you watch them unravel, but the way you handled it was so honest, and I thought your performance was very truthful.
And your daughter, she's getting married, isn't she? You wanted to bring your grandchildren to federal prison to say hello to Grandpa?
I can't flip on my friends.
Well, David wrote for us. He wrote Sirico's character, Paulie Walnuts, for Tony. He wrote little Steven's character, Silvio, for Steven. He wrote for us. He wrote Big Pussy. I was going through a lot of the same issues. I had a kid in college.
Sure.
I was going through a lot of issues, very similar. And but what was amazing is that in season 2, David, it was all about me and David Proval. Season 2 was all about me and David Proval. And yeah, he called me between season 1 and season 2, and he says, "We're going to go another season, and it's going to be about you." Blah blah blah. They didn't know they were going to go to season 3, 4, 5, 7.
So at first, you must have that feeling of like, "Hey, man, I want to still be a part of this thing. It's taking off."
Well, of course you want to be a part of it, but if you think you're dead, what are you going to do? You know, I ran into, we were roasting Dennis Dennis Leary, and I went into Sutherland, Kiefer Sutherland. He was doing 24.
Sure.
And he said, Vinny, I would never have done 24 if it wasn't for The Sopranos.
Really?
He was a film actor.
Right.
And like they were offering Ray Liotta work on Sopranos, and he didn't want to do television.
You guys changed the game for a lot of the film folk that were abandoning, and now they have vehicles. Now they have vehicles because of The Sopranos.
Yeah.
Love
you know, that last episode when I get whacked, I was living in an apartment down the street close to the water here on City Island, and I invited some of my friends over, and I said, the New York Post and the Daily News are coming over to cover the story because they don't know the ending. David, and nobody told anybody what was going to happen. So they're sitting there, and they watched me get killed. Wow. And they ran out the doors, you know, and then the next day, I made the centerfold of the New York Post or something.
That's right.
It was crazy.
I remember that.
It was really, really crazy. It was unprecedented for a star of a show to get killed so soon. But the most important thing is your legacy. What are you leaving behind? You know, what are your grandchildren going to say? Oh, that's my grandfather. He's Luca on Shark Tale. Yeah, that's my grandfather. He played Big Pussy on The Sopranos. Those are all good things to leave as your legacy.
We are now going to play a game called I'd Pay. This is an interesting game indeed. I'll pay. So I'll offer up a trio of options for you. We're going to have a lot of fun. And you'll let me know which of these options you would pay for to see and why. Seinfeld, the correctional officer, or Rambo, the talk show host.
Rambo as a talk show host.
Just imagining that. Does he have his machete and M16?
Rambo.
Everybody would talk with him as the talk show host. They listen.
Vinny.
Freddy Krueger, the personal trainer. Beetlejuice, the runway model. Or the cast of Goodfellas as studio audience members on Jerry Springer.
Anything with Goodfellas in. You know, Goodfellas, Marty said there was 45 FUs.
And the last one we got here is...
F you, Jerry, come on.
Archie Bunker, the mountain climber. Ralph Cramden, the yoga instructor. Or Don Corleone, the computer repair person. Second one is Ralph Cramden, the yoga instructor.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. Jackie Gleason. Yeah, yoga. Yeah.
How great was his name? Jackie Gleason. Absolutely. But I have something else for you. It's a gift. Because you gave us a gift, and here's what it is. Guys and gals, this is a photo. Virtual photo of Vincent Pastore many years ago. And thank you, by the way. Thank you for this, my friend.
Oh, where'd you get that book from?
Yeah, there we go.
It's my yearbook. But baby.
Thank you.
RPOC. Holy shit.
For serving us and for being humble.
Whose fingers are those?
I have no idea. Not mine.
Who sent you that picture?
My litter agent sent it to me. And by the way, I want to tell you once again.
I tell you what, you guys did your homework, man.
I appreciate that. There's no guys. It's just me.
You should write my life story.
You're a gentleman. You're a class act. Did you have fun here in the green room?
Anytime you want me back, I'm here, brother.
You're awesome, guys. Guys and gals, Vincent Pastore.
Don't forget me for Christmas.